Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy here today to review the new film, Jason Bourne. Now Jason Bourne, shocker, follows Jason Bourne, who's been off the grid for many years, living his life as a street fighter, but gets roped back into the world of espionage after a former agent and acquaintance, Nicky Parsons, meets him and tells him the government is up to no good once again and we gotta put a stop to what they're doing, and he has some personal ties to what is going on, and so Jason embarks on this journey to stop the government and their evil ways once again. Oh, and also uncover some truths about his past as well. Let's not forget to add that in too. Now, like most of the main populace, I too was a huge fan of the Bourne series. No, not this one. No, let's just put this one down. Put it down like the dog with rabies it is. Let's not think about it again. And I too was super stoked when I heard the news that both Matt Damon and director Paul Greengrass, who directed the two best installments of the franchise, were teaming up once again to give us another go at Bourne. It felt like Christmas in July, guys. I was so giddy and full of excitement. They finally answered our prayers after nearly a decade. They're finally giving us the sequel we've been wanting to see. Yeah, sure, they attempted to keep the franchise alive by doing... No. What did I tell you? Stay down. Stay down. Do not come back up again. Do not resurface. They attempted to carry on the franchise, but that attempt failed. I mean, it wasn't a god-awful film. It just was lackluster, and it wasn't befitting of the Bourne name. It just wasn't able to carry on the legacy. Irony in that line right there. And so I saw this much anticipated sequel last night, and I will share my thoughts about the film right now. First, let's get this one out of the way. Matt Damon still kills it as Jason Bourne. I mean, it felt like he just fell right back into the role, like he hadn't lost a single step. He still understands the character. He brings a lot of charisma, a lot of intrigue to this character. I also like the fact that Jason is kind of rusty in this film. Not entirely rusty, but he wasn't as pristine and precise as he was in the other Bourne films when he was at the top of his game. In this one, it's been a while. He's a bit rusty. He makes a few mistakes now and again. And, you know, it's kind of humanizing to see Jason Bourne kind of make these simple mistakes. I know we all like to see him as the glorified badass that he is, and he's unstoppable and all that stuff, but it's interesting to see this new dynamic where the older Jason Bourne, as much as he's still really cool, can make mistakes. He is flawed. The action scenes were as exhilarating and high octane as the previous installments. No! What did I say? Get back down there. God, he just never knows when to quit. Every single action scene literally had me on the edge of my seat. Like, I moved up, I was still staring at the screen, blood was rushing through my veins. Like, I was really pumped. I was like jacked up. I'm like, man, this action is exciting. But as for the filming of the action scenes, we'll get to that real soon. The acting was pretty solid as well. Everybody delivered with their performances. I especially loved the performance given by Alicia Vikander as this woman who's trying to rise up through the ranks of the CIA, impress her bosses with her skills and talent. She's a bit green and naive, doesn't really know the full scope of what she's getting herself into. But I love the development that this character goes through. She is multi-layered, and I like the bond that she forms with Bourne. It's pretty interesting, although the character does remind me of a similar character that was also in this franchise. I can't really think of what the character is, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. Alicia Vikander, she did awesome in the role, and her accent, that accent was so alluring, guys. I know that's her real accent, and I'm just like, man, you need to talk like that more in your films, because that was just really cool. I love the sound of her voice. Can't tell if that last line was creepy or endearing. No, that was just creepy. I apologize for coming off as a creep, Alicia. Don't hate me. Please, don't hate me. You're a lovely person. And finally, we got the story. I, for one, found it to be very interesting, very enthralling. I like the modern twist that they added to the film with this whole Facebook-like website called Deep Dream and how that weaved into the story. At first, I was like, why is this piece even in the story? It just seems so insignificant, but it does play a crucial part, and it was actually pretty interesting. The only issue I had with the whole modernism of the story is they kept bringing up Snowden, and I'm like, stop forcing these lines of Snowden. It's not necessary, guys. It really isn't. It just feels like fanfare, like, hey, we mentioned Snowden, jizz your pants now. I will say that I was a bit disappointed that the film wasn't as intellectual as the past 3 films. They had this whole intellectual aspect to the story that I felt like was missing here in Jason Bourne. But honestly, I wasn't really looking for the intellectual aspect. I was just looking for a very engaging story, and that's exactly what they gave me. And it fit perfectly with the Bourne formula. But with that said, I need to delve into some of the issues I found with this film, and sadly, I had a lot. The biggest issue that plagues this film is that it's just a complete rehash of the previous films. The Bourne Supremacy, the Bourne Ultimatum, hell, even the Bourne Legacy. It's just a rehash of the same story, which is kind of disappointing because you thought, okay, maybe they might try to reinvent Bourne, you know, try something different and add a new flair to the story. But no, they follow the Jason Bourne formula, and there is a formula. I mean, seriously, guys, they follow it beat by beat, from how the story is structured to the characters in the story. As I kind of hinted to earlier, Alicia Vikanter's character is very similar to the woman that was in both the Bourne Supremacy and the Bourne Ultimatum. She's the inside woman that has a connection with Bourne. She talks to him through the phone, and they kind of build this respect for each other. They want to help him out, you know, bring him back in, you know, bring him back into the force. And I was like, I like the character, but I've seen this character before. Same thing goes for Tommy Lee Jones. He's the old curmudgeon white guy who lives in the past and doesn't want any of the freaking dirt trail to lead back to him, so he starts cutting off ties and trying to wipe Jason Bourne out because he's a major threat to freaking national security. He's a threat to all of us. He needs to be put down like the dog he is. And then freaking... oh, I think the most disappointing one is what they did with Julia Stiles' character, Nikki Parsons. She once again was kind of like the token woman in the film. She didn't really add much to the story. I mean, she propels the story to happen, but other than that, she doesn't really add much depth to the story. And one thing that really angered me too, because I wanted them to further explore this, but they didn't in this film, they completely squander it, is they don't explore the relationship between Jason Bourne and Nikki Parsons. For many of you who don't know, they actually dated before, and they had a relationship. This was explored a little bit in the Bourne Ultimatum, but they didn't go into it further and more deeper so we can at least understand what the dynamic of this relationship was like. Was it strained? Was it interesting? Were they lovers? Were they just friends with benefits? There's no indication of that. And I wanted to see them kind of grow closer in this film, like kind of form a bond, and you could see Jason start to rely on other people again. You know, it would have been so interesting and different, and it would have added so much depth to Nikki Parsons' character, who I always felt was very dull. But nope, completely squandered Nikki Parsons yet again. I'll say this though, I liked what they did with the assassin character in the film. Instead of making him just a puppet for the old curmudgeon white man to use whenever he needs to, he actually had a personal reason for why he wanted to go after Bourne. Yeah, sure, it was his mission, but also there's more of a drive and motivation as to why he wants to get at Bourne. I thought that was interesting, and it was vastly different. I get that they want to follow the modicum of if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it's true, the formula still works. And if you're a fan of this formula, you'll still enjoy it. But for me personally, after nearly a decade, I was hoping that they would try to do something different, something more interesting to bring Jason Bourne into the modern age, something that helped him challenge all the other spy espionage thriller type films like Jack Reacher and all the others. You know, add something new to this franchise, bring some new life into it, but they just fell back on those old tropes, and it was kind of annoying. But there's one element to the Bourne formula that needs to fucking die already, and that is the goddamn shaky cam that is used throughout the entirety of this film. It has not improved whatsoever. In fact, it's gotten worse. I understand that that is a stylistic choice. You know, it makes it seem really close combat, gritty and rough and tough. And I understood. It worked back in the early 2000s when this was a new kind of form of showing action scenes. But here in 2016, we're all fucking sick of it. In fact, it's making us physically sick because you can't really see what's happening. The camera is shaking so damn much. And what made me even more angry is that the camera would also be unsteady and shake in scenes that aren't even intense action scenes. It's just characters talking, and I hate when that happens. I need some steady cinematography, guys. In fact, the entire cinematography in this film is piss poor. I mean, the framing of shots is so ugly that I was like, did no one like help this guy frame his shots? Like, they would do all these close zoom up on the characters, their eyes and faces. I mean, I know it's trying to give a whole like up close and personal feel. Like, yeah, the weight of this conversation is tough, but it didn't feel like that because the conversation felt very mundane, and yet he would zoom up to her face like as if this is the most important thing they have ever said in the entire film. Cinematography needs to change for this franchise because it hasn't been able to adapt to the modern age. It's a form of cinematography that just needs to be put to rest. It needs to be laid down like that film down there and just not used again. But overall, guys, I know it seems like I'm being incredibly harsh and negative towards Jason Bourne and that I come off as a petulant child who was demanding for this film to be made, but when I finally got it, I'm just crying and complaining about what I got instead of just being grateful that I actually got it. That's not to say that I'm not grateful that I got this film. I'm freaking ecstatic that I got another Jason Bourne film, and I really enjoyed the film. It's really enjoyable. But Jason Bourne, just because it is a very beloved franchise, it's a very well liked and well received franchise, isn't above criticism. There are things that do need to be pointed out and things that do need to be tweaked. And as much as I'm a huge fan of it, I will point out these faults. And because I'm such a huge fan of it, I can make these criticisms. I mean, honestly, anybody can make the criticism, but being somebody that is a fan of this franchise, I can have some validity to my concerns and to my criticism. But overall, I still really enjoyed the film. It was fun. It was exhilarating. I loved Matt Damon as Jason Bourne. I like Alicia Vikander. It is a fun and thrilling movie. And if you're a fan of the franchise, you're gonna love it. You're gonna really enjoy it. And that's why I'm gonna give the film a 4 out of 5 stars. I do think that it is worth watching, especially again if you're a fan of the Bourne franchise. But as always, I'm not the end-all be-all opinion when it comes to Jason Bourne. I would love to know what you guys thought about the film. Did you love it to death? Do you think it's the best Bourne film ever made? Or is it probably really lackluster, disappointing, mediocre, didn't live up to your expectations? And let me know, what is your favorite installment of the Bourne franchise? Just don't say that other one. Let's just treat it like the plague and just never bring it up again. Let's never acknowledge it. It didn't happen. Comment below, let me know. Hopefully I'll get some more videos done this weekend. So much to do. I might have another unboxing video that might be coming out either later tonight or tomorrow, depending on when I can get it done. But until the next video comes, guys, if you would like to see more videos on this channel and be a part of the Black Critic Crew, please hit that subscribe button below, like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'm Tony Watt II, the spy known as the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.